Welcome back, everyone. This episode, we're going to tackle the dashboard and the rot that was under the windshield. Okay, so now when I took the windshield off this car, which is nice being able to remove the whole thing, I noticed underneath the rubber seal there was a little bit of rot. Now, I will be cutting away a big chunk of this original metal dashboard part here because I have a BMW dashboard that's going in, but the windshield still needs to sit here, so I need to replace this strip here. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to fill in the holes for the windshield wiper because I'm going to try and retrofit the windshield wiper from the BMW that I've got. The old style, if you've been watching, there's another guy doing a Triumph out in Ontario, and if you've seen what he had to do to custom make a windshield wiper, not something I want to get into. And if you look at the reason why he did that, the old wiper on this is this dodgy cable twist driven thing where, you know, the wipers just are doing this, and ain't nobody got time for that, when it's raining. Anyway, let's get started on cleaning this up and getting ready to see how much we have to replace. So if you see me using this paint stripper, tool that goes in a drill, it's actually pretty good at getting the paint and the rust off, but it's on a drill and it's a real pain. So I ordered these off of Amazon and they go on your grinder. So I'm going to see how well these do. I'm going to take it easy to start with because, who knows, I could burn through the metal, but I'll let you know how these go and see if it's worth your while if you need them. Okay, well, that made short work of that, way quicker than using the one that's on the drill. I burned off a whole unit doing just this part of the dash. Now, I was pushing hard, on it, and I think the next time I do it, I'm going to let it do the work rather than me pushing, and just, skim the surface and let it take it off at its own speed and see if I get more distance out of one of these discs. They weren't super expensive. I think they were about $3 a piece, something like that. Thumbs up. Just make sure that when you order them that you get the one with the right hole size. I got the 5/8 and I thought my thing was 5/8, but it's not. It's actually 7/8, but fortunately that unit you can actually do both. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That looks good. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so it's not as bad as I thought. There's a strip that's about, about 2.5 inches by about 16 inches long. It's a flat surface, which is nice. I did some knocking just to get it a little bit smoother, but it looks really good all the way up. So basically, it was just near the driver's windshield that it had some issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this out and I'm going to cut it, and then we'll put a piece of paper over top and we'll make a template and cut that out of metal, get it welded into place. Okay, so cut that out, and that piece is just flat. It's got a slight curve to it, but we'll be able to take care of that in the when we weld it in. This piece I am gonna take a lot of care welding. I'm gonna really take my time with it because I don't want to warp this, because getting inside here is one of those nightmare jobs that I don't want to have to do if I have to knock it out. So it's going to be a slow process to get it in with as little warp as possible. So let's get a template made and cut that out of metal, get it fit into place, and see how we go. Okay, so I got this piece cut out here, really nice tight fit up the top here, but kind of goofed it here. So, I mean, I'd love to be able to weld this with no solder, with no filler. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to recut this piece so that it fits absolutely perfect. I just don't want to be messing around with any warpage here. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so yeah, I remade this piece here. As you can see, it is fitting way, way, way better. Like it is just nice and snug to the point where I'm probably going to have to hammer and dolly it once I tack it, just to keep it from expanding too much. But anyway, so now we will put it in place and give it a weld. Okay, so I stitch welded this, so that means I didn't want to get a lot of heat into it. So what it meant is I spotted it all the way so that it was in place, and then I did about an inch at a time, and I do an inch here, and then I do an inch down here, and an inch here, etc. Each time tapping it, flat, getting it back into position, and then I would move to the next inch. That way I was never putting a lot of heat into it at any one place, because if I'd stitch this all the way along, I would be like this with my burn mark, but you can see it's no wider than a finger, which is nice. Now I still got obviously some warpage in there, and I've had to drill out some holes in here in order to be able to get to the backside and clean it up. But it's pretty smooth right now. It's nice. It's almost as nice. This has a little bit of a dip in it over here, whereas this does not. So it's actually might seat a bit better. And I think what ended up happening was, from the factory, it seems to have a dip right in here where the windshield bolts in. It kind of goes like this, and then water gets underneath, and this side here, actually, that is where most of the rust was. So anyway, that I'm really pleased with, and I'm going to give it a quick grinding just to get the weld down, and then I'm going to do some finish slapping on it just to clean the metal up, etc., and make sure that it looks better, gooder. Yeah. Right, now that that is done well enough for what I need, it's going to be hidden underneath the rubber strip that is on the bottom of the windshield frame. So that's going to be hidden, which means it's going to get a light skim coat of mud on there just to even it up and level it out. It's clean, you know. There's no rust in there anymore, so I'm not concerned about it. So that takes care of that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab the windshield frame and put it back into place so that we can check that and start to maybe look at something else. Okay, windshield's in. Holy cow, this is the first time it's actually looked like a car in quite a while, and now the windshield's in. These windshields, they just slide in. It's really nice. I don't know if you can see on the inside. Nope. Hang on, let me get a light for you here. There we are. There's a bracket here, right, that this thing slides into, the windshield thing slides into on both sides. So as you can see, the rubber seal is pretty big and well covers all the work that I did. So yeah, so I'll be getting a new seal for this, as well as a new windshield seal. I have the original windshield. Hopefully I don't break it putting it in. So that puts that in there. So just sort of gets me an idea. Now, yeah, let's take a minute and talk a little bit about my vision for where this is going from here. So I haven't really talked a lot about what I'm planning on doing with this. This car is getting a full roll cage. Simple as that. It's a tiny car. I live in Alberta where there are a lot of big trucks, and let's face it, you tangle with one of those, you need a full roll cage. Plus this car is getting about 3 times the amount of power that it previously had. So, it's getting a straight 6 out of a 2009 BMW 135i. And once I finish tuning it, the plan is to be running at about 450 to 500 horsepower. Yeah, that's a lot, especially in a car that's going to weigh about as much as a skateboard. So it's going to get a full cage. Now, in doing that, I've also been looking at the pieces that come up here and across to the back part of the roll cage. I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing is mounting them right to the windshield as well. Now, there will also be a bar going across following the trim of the windshield. I want to make it as tight as I can to the windshield and take it down to the frame that I've built. So that there is basically one of the things I'm going to do with this car. And I've got a bunch of 1.5 inch tubing that I'm going to bend up for this. So The other thing that's going to happen is it's going to need flares. And yeah, that's not going to look stock. Well, it is, but it isn't. So the other thing I need to do is I need to make this car roughly 4 inches wider on each side, just because the BMW was a much wider car than this. Now, that is in itself going to be an interesting mashup of fenders that I have. I don't want to do those plastic stick-on or even metal stick-on fenders that just kind of sit there that look like a wide body kit. I want this thing to actually look like a Restomod of a GT car. So like when you see GT3 racing and you look at a Porsche or an AMG or a Lamborghini or any of those cars, and you put them beside the car that you can buy out of the showroom, you look at it and go, holy crap, that's wide. But it doesn't look like they just stuck fenders on or stuck on these fender flares. So I wanted to sort of have that kind of a look to it. So that's the next big thing that will be part of this. So that's kind of the vision where I'm going with this. Let me know what you think in the comments. This car was never going to be a restoration. It was never planned for that. But yeah, let's take you through a few of the other modification things that I'm going to be doing in order to make this a little bit easier. Okay, so you may have seen in the background that I've got the whole front clip out of this car, and I went and remember I cut this out. So the idea here is I've made these brackets here, and I'm going to weld this heavy bar on top of that in order that I can keep the shock tower mounts in the same place. Now, when I was designing this frame, it was designed at the same width as the frame that is on the BMW. So my plan is to weld this so that it's not going to move, then remove it from the subframe, remove the front part here. Maybe I'll bolt the front as well, just to give it some extra. I'm going to put something across from these two bolts all the way across to the other side. That way it's not going to move at all. And the idea is to graft this into place onto this frame. So I'm going to have to remove a bunch of the fenders still. And let's be honest, these I've measured out are going to kind of be here. Right? They're literally only be half inside and half outside. Now, what I did do was I made sure that the shape of the fender and with the flare that I'm going to do is going to be wide enough that these shock towers, the tops, and a cross brace is going to be covered by the fenders and the hood. The other thing is I plan to use lowering coilovers, both front and back on this. And it's less about being able to lower the car, but rather more about being able to drop the top of the coilover so that this can actually sit low enough that it is below the fender. So I have to take about 2 inches. It needs to sit 2 inches lower than it does in the BMW in order to fit under the hood and fenders of the Triumph. So, and yet keep the same ride height, keep all the geometry the same, keep all the suspension the same. So yes, I will have 2 inches less travel in the suspension, but it will ride at the same height as far as the geometry is concerned. So that is one of the things that I'm planning on doing. Now, the other thing is I got a big hole in there. And you may have seen in the background here, I cut out the transmission tunnel from the BMW. And yeah, it is definitely too wide here. All right, so where it hits the floor, it definitely, comes out way too much. I would have no room for seats in the car. But this top piece here and the actual transmission cover fits really nice. This needs to tuck in tighter, and it gives me all of my mounting for center console. Okay, it gives me the original mounting area for the gear shift, for the center console, for the brake, for the brake line, as well as the bracket for the brake line. Everything's there. Plus, it gives me these mounting points, which are for the lower part of the dashboard, and bolts right to there and there. So the plan is, and this is kind of where I'm thinking I need to start moving forward on this, is to take the cross brace that's there that holds the dash, take the dash, figure out how much of this I need to cut away in order to cut away. I got to cut away a whack of the corner of the dash because the dash is too wide. So I got to cut a bunch of that away so that it will fit in place here in such a way that the transmission tunnel, when in place, will line up with that. Now, this may not work. It may be that I can't get the dash far enough forward, that's just the way it's going to be. If that's the case, I'll have to decide if I'm going to move the transmission tunnel back in order to keep those brackets and just put a little filler piece, or whether I'm going to leave the transmission tunnel in place and do some customization for the center console. And the likelihood is that I will do that. Now, that transmission tunnel is within half an inch of fitting between the rear firewall and the front firewall on this car, and is actually smaller in size than the original transmission tunnel that came out of this car. So I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of measuring and getting ready to cut and making sure that I'm only cutting what I need to cut at this point. So I think that's kind of where we're headed right now with this. All right, so yeah, that is the ride that I'm taking you on. Hopefully you'll stick around for it. It's going to get interesting. There's going to be a lot of stuff. I really am hoping I can get the dash in place with the transmission tunnel, because it then means that the whole heating system will fit up underneath really nicely. I have gobs of room under the dash of this car. And I say that now, and I know I'm going to regret that, but I do. The bonnet, the front of this car is very long compared to the BMW. So, there where they used to be the battery right at the front here, I can get rid of that. The battery's going to sit in the trunk with the new gas tank, which I haven't decided if I'm going to use the old tank, if I'm going to make a new old tank in the same position right underneath this cowl, or whether I'm going to use the drop down that is or was the spare tire and build a fuel cell that goes right in there, and then that sort of thing, and leave this space for a set of subwoofers or something. Because let's face it, I'm an old time sub guy, etc. I've got a nice set of original kickers that I bought, 8-inch kickers I bought down in the States back in the early 90s, along with an original Soundstream amplifier, and I would love to actually use that in here. So I got a nice set of Serwin Vegas that I'll put in the front here with tweeters. So this car is also going to have a good sound system in it. And I probably will put that radar detector and laser jammer that came out of the BMW that I got back into this while I'm at it, because I'm allowed to. So, might as well have that option. So anyway, I think that's probably, that's all I've really got time for. I know that this episode was really just about fixing this one little piece, and usually I do a lot more than that. But I really wanted to catch everybody up as to where I'm going with this project, and hopefully you all will stick around and check it out. So listen, like, subscribe, and get notified. I'm trying to get these videos out once a month. If I can get more time to work on it, I might drop that down to every 3 weeks. But this is a part-time thing for me, just on weekends. So hopefully if you're sticking around, you get notified, and thank you so much for sticking around on this, and we'll see you next time.